Keshe Foundation, an independent, non-profit, non-religious, space-based organization founded by nuclear engineer Mehran Tavakoli Keshe, is introducing to humanity the science of the universe, plasma science. Keshe Foundation develops universal knowledge and space technologies that provide solutions to major global problems, revolutionizing agriculture, health, energy, transportation, materials, and more. The application of plasma science in the form of specially developed plasma reactors and other devices will give humanity the real freedom to travel in deep space. Plasma science exists throughout the whole universe. It is here and it belongs to you. Our knowledge, research, and development regarding the plasma structure has progressed to the point of enabling everyone to participate in the process. Become a creator and understand the work of the universe for the good of humankind on this planet as well as in space. The use of megravs, nanomaterials, GANs, liquid plasma, field plasma, and other plasma technologies have come as a new dawn for humanity to progress and work in harmony with the universe. Conventional technology applications are wasteful, damaging, and cause pollution to the planet and all living beings. Plasma science provides solutions and improves existing methods and use of resources in all aspects that touch the lives of all beings. Plasma is defined by the Foundation as an entire content of fields which accumulate and create matter and is not defined by its physical characteristics like ionization or temperature. Also, with plasma science, we understand how we can convert matter back to the fields. Quoting from Mr. Keshe, MGRAV stands for magnetic gravitational, which means plasma absorbs or gives. And every plasma has the both. It has give and it has take. And when they can't find the balance, they distance themselves until they find the balance they can give to the others, that they can receive what they want to receive and give further. Certain atoms and molecules release and absorb magnetic or gravitational fields. Released fields are available to be absorbed by other objects. The Keshe Foundation has developed a way to gather these free-flowing fields from the environment within a resourceful and beneficial new state of transitional matter, which M.T. Keshe named GANs. The first step of the process of the formation of various basic types of GANs is nano-coating metals. This is carried out either chemically by etching, steam coating with sodium hydroxide, or thermally by heating, fire coating by gas burner. During either coating process, gaps between outermost layers of atoms are created. The residual coating is often referred to as nano-coating, defined by the structured layers of nanomaterial, which build up during the creation process of the coating. Nano-coated metal in interaction with other various metal plates in a saltwater solution creates MGRAV fields. These fields then attract available elements to form a specific GANs, which collects and settles at the bottom of the container. This GANs is formed from independent energized molecules like little suns that can be used in various applications.
Okay, welcome everyone to the 190th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, September 21st, 2017. And once again, as in the last 189 Knowledge Seekers Workshops, Mr. Keshe is available to us today to speak on a variety of topics as usual. But something new every week, as usual, as well. Mr. Keshe, are you ready to begin there?
Yes, good morning, good day to you, wherever and whenever you listen to these knowledge seekers teaching. Looking at the list of the people present on the front line, we see a number of members of the core team. We welcome you. We see a number of members of the Earth Council and Universal Council present. I welcome you all to these teachings. And it's a pleasure to have Alex back with us after his incident in Nigeria. As a member of the Earth Council, will be nice to hear from you, Alex. As we have said before, we carry on with the teaching and enlightening and inspiring the knowledge that more of us can expand the knowledge in different ways according to our intellect and what we understand or what is our interest. There are a few things which has happened we have to clarify. One of these things is that we received with many thanks from the Netherlands, from the Dutch group who went to Peru, and they have reported their finding about workshop in Peru, which literally shocked us to understand, to see such a thing. Somebody using the name of the Keshe Foundation and the presence of the Keshe Foundation in Peru to organize a workshop, and in a way abusing the name of the foundation, even though it's close with the Keshe Foundation Peru. And this made us to make investigation in what's going on. Even they've used the name of Armand and me, we're going to be present, and they're going to show power units to attract people. This has been a revelation to us in so many ways, that we were told they're planning it. This guy was doing something and then there are people in there, but he never explained what's going on. Now we understand it was a setup. And this has brought into light for us that from now on we're going to control the workshops very, very closely. This is the third time we've seen people abusing the name of the Keshe Foundation and the facilities of Keshe Foundation and the knowledge to benefit themselves. Apparently, this gentleman has risen some $3,000 from this workshop for himself, and without the knowledge or any input from the Keshe Foundation Peru. And Arman has spoken with them to understand exactly what's going on and what has happened. The Keshe Foundation Peru has accepted to refund the funds to the people who were in a way cheated by this gentleman to go into these teachings, and using Arman's name he'll be present, or my name. We put on a stop to this in a way that from 1st of October, any workshop which carries our name or plasma technology which is connected or discusses Keshe Foundation technology or magravs systems has to be approved by the Keshe Foundation itself. You go to workshops at spaceshipinstitute.org, all the ones will be authorized. We carry a new logo which is designed for the workshops, and you receive a number for that workshop. So if you do a repeat one, you need a new number. That we control the teachings, we control the knowledge, and we make sure the teachings is in correct way and is not the way it has been abused by others for their own pocket and the benefit. From now on, if you want to know where is a workshop, you can go on the Keshe Foundation's website, workshops, and find the detail, who's doing it and everything else. We have put a team into this, that these kind of abuses does not take place anymore. We gave warning to the other two. We rejected one of them totally from the Keshe Foundation organization, and now we cannot touch Peru, even though we are the shareholders in the company. We are not managing it, we are not there on a daily basis. So this gentleman has abused the position while he's in the Keshe Foundation. He's not a shareholder or a director, being associated to abuse, to set up, to do whatever he liked, and we don't allow this to happen anymore. So from now on, if you're setting up a workshop, it has to be approved by the Keshe Foundation, and you'll be given a number for that, whether your workshop is about and where it is and how you're doing it. We have put a person responsible for this. 2 people now are responsible for this, that nothing like this will happen again. We thank the Dutch team for bringing this to our attention. They should have checked with us before they go, that is there such a thing, that we could have informed them. The members are close to us, which should have called us, not just turned up there. But thanks to them, now we have brought this to an end. This cannot be done anymore. In so many ways, all the workshops from now on will be controlled. The text, the workshop manuals, everything is getting done, that everything follows, that there is no misknowledge or misinformation in teachings. In that way, I think Jim has something to say on the educational side of the workshops. If you want to participate, Jim, please.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. If I can just share my screen, please, Rick. Thanks. What we have put together is a series of workshops starting on Monday next week, which is essentially understanding the plasma science. It will run from Monday and every Monday thereafter for a series of 12 workshops, and we'll be covering 6 topics. We'll be covering the plasma science, nanotechnology, GANs, health, nature, and soul. So these are all will be sort of taught as separate topics, but what we'll be doing is interlinking them all, because this technology covers everything. And so it's not just a case of focusing on nano coating. This we have to incorporate and connect the dots for a lot of people, because yes, we can nano coat our copper wires, but there's also nano layers in our body, there's nano layers in nature. So we have to understand the links between everything. There's GANs that we produce ourselves and can produce, but there's GANs in our body and there's GANs in plants as well. So the whole idea with these workshops is to give people a very broad understanding of where this technology fits in, how it all cross-links across all aspects of our society today and all the technology. So as I said, we'll be 12 parts starting on Monday at 10 a.m. It will be a public workshop open to all people, and it will be an hour and a half long workshop. And the presentations afterwards will also be handed over to all the different language teachers so that they can take this and also teach in different languages around the world. Now, just to give an example of how we're going to operate these workshops is the first one, part 1 on Monday. We're just going to cover the first 3 topics, which is plasma, nano, and GANs. Each one will be 30 minutes long, so we'll start with plasma and run that for 30 minutes. The first sort of 20 minutes is we'll be presenting the information on sort of very basic level so that you can get the understanding of the fundamentals of everything. And then we'll be followed with sort of 10 minutes of questions relating to the specific topic. We'll then go on to the next subject so that we can finish the workshop in an hour and a half. I'm wanting to keep it nice and short is because we understand people's time is quite important to them. And so we're wanting to get this information across to people in a very short, concise manner so that they can start watching these workshops and get the information that is required to understand it from watching, without having to go through hours and hours of workshops to try and pull out some nuggets of information. And then the following week, part 2, we will touch on the health, the nature, and soul aspects, and it will be run on the same format as well. And then what we'll be doing in, say, part 3, that will be the 3rd week, is we'll be going back to the plasma, nano, and GANs again, but now we'll be adding new information to what you've already been taught so that we can start building that knowledge for you. And then obviously the 4th week we go. So we'll be rotating, and over the 12 weeks build a good foundation for people so that they can understand the sort of the technology as a whole. It will be very brief, very not sort of very try and simplify it as much as we can, and so that people can see that this technology is all-encompassing. It's not just one aspect or another. It's how it affects our lives. Because if we understand how the actual plasma science works and how plasma works, we can begin to understand how our soul operates. So everything is interrelated. The whole idea as well is to also help the newer students and even some of the older people that once they've gone through these workshops, if they're interested, then they can actually study further, but at least they would have had a very broad understanding of what this technology is all about. So we do welcome everybody to join us on Monday for the first workshop. They will be recorded as usual and go up on YouTube, and so that at the end of the 12 weeks we'll be able to package these videos in different formats and make them available as basic workshops that people can understand and try and get to grips with this technology. It will also help a lot of people in terms of going to live workshops around the world, in that they can watch these series of videos first to give themselves a good broad understanding of the technology before they even have to go to any other workshops. So at least they'll get the information directly from the foundation itself. And that was it. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
So just to remind people that it'll be on this same Zoom ID channel that we're on now, correct? And
that's correct, yes.
It'll be the same, it goes with the YouTube, it'll be live on YouTube at that time. And live stream, and yes. Facebook as well, correct? Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Please make sure when you make these teachings, these public teachings or workshops, there is no infringement on any, what you call, published papers or whatever, that we do not create problems. There is no infringement over music rights or intellectual rights or whatever. We try to keep this 503 number, the Zoom ID, as a public point of teachings for the Keshe Foundation whenever it is now. Is used more or less on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursdays, and now Monday mornings for next 12 weeks is becoming a public point of interaction between the foundation work and the public. As usual, we first go to the members of the Earth Council or the core team or the Universal Council if they want to participate in this session this morning. Any members of the Earth Council or the core team or the Universal Council wants to add in the process of what we need to do or what they have discussed to be for us to follow?
Hello, I'm Ursula. I want to give a message to all of you, and I am Universal Council in Spanish. I can give it also in Spanish then. I want.
Please do both.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. I want all to say that we are all going through a big crisis now. It's a human crisis, a global and personal crisis, economical, financial, wars, political, climate, everywhere are big changes. The world is changed itself, and it gives message to us. When we are weak, as some of us can be sometimes, it will go worst. To have the opportunity to have these teachings, we can feel strong and stronger every day. To love each other and ourselves first also. We often can be silent and must be silent to feel it inside. We are all peaceful inside, naturally, and yet sometimes with fears. We must keep on these teachings to feel stronger every day. And give teachings also without competition, not feeling better than others, helping each other. It's so important to give value each other, to be stronger and go through all these crises. Free energy is free. It's really free, must given freely to others. Teaching, sharing, being, we learn it, we know it, and now we can do it because we have not more fear. We know all that we are discovering that what we are really, and now we can become that we are really inside. We know it from the beginning, and now it's possible. We are just starting to learn, starting to be. Everybody has knowledge, technical, natural, and any word, computers or doctors or engineers, and we are all working together. This is the most important. We are beginners of these big changes, and sometimes you can also feel sad because we see everything what happens around us, and people hearing to us don't believe what we are saying because they cannot believe sometimes. But we must be strong, and thank you for all these teachings that can us keep together and work together. And it's very important to be on this teaching, to go through this, to learn and to teach others. And this is so happy to do. It's most important to teach and to give than to keep it for us. It's very important. And thank you for all those who are doing this with so much love. Thank you very much. It's all what I wanted to say today.
Now in Spanish.
Hola, estamos pasando todos por crisis humanas, crisis económicas, crisis financieras, políticas, el clima, estamos viendo lo que está pasando. Si nos sentimos débiles, eso va a ir de peor en peor. Pero si nos sentimos fuertes, cada vez estaremos más fuertes nosotros y daremos fuerzas a otros por nuestro ejemplo. Lo más importante es el amor, pero el amor, amarse a sí mismo primero para poder ayudar a los otros. También quedar muchas veces en silencio, porque eso nos da fuerza y nos hace pensar en lo que tenemos que hacer. Compartir y enseñar sin competición, no sintiéndose mejores que los otros. Todos podemos aprender y todos sabemos adentro lo que sucede realmente. Cuando los hermanos se pelean, perdemos fuerza. Hay que ayudarlos, hermanos, aunque no comprendan siempre. Energía libre, es gratis, no debe ser un comercio. Hay que dar desde el corazón, enseñar, compartir y ser uno mismo, esa libertad. Y sobre todo sin miedo, porque todos sabemos y estamos aprendiendo quiénes somos realmente. Algunos más técnicos, algunos más naturaleza, doctores, técnicos, ingenieros. No somos, estamos todos comenzando a comprender lo que está pasando. Y gracias a estos enseñamientos de la Fundación Keshe vamos a poder aprender sin competición. Y eso es lo más importante. Y formar parte de ese gran cambio que estamos viviendo, sin miedo y todos juntos. Muchas gracias por compartir. That's all what I want to say.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for your sincerity. Any other messages from the Earth Council? I know Alex is here. Would you like to participate in, Alex, if you have a good line? Can you hear us, Alex? Alex is in Nigeria, and we sometimes get problem in connecting with him. Even though he's online, he cannot be reached.
I can try to unmute him and see what happens here.
Please, if you can.
Hello?
Okay.
Hello,
Okay.
Alex? We can hear you. Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
Okay, but the feelings I want the feelings right now because I don't really. Okay, but make you make you tell me how much everything will cost so that I'll put the money for your account. I don't see my boy.
Hello, somewhere else. He's on the phone.
Okay. Right, okay, I'll mute him again. I wasn't sure whether that was appropriate or not.
Okay.
You gotta be careful when unmuting people on this line, but yeah.
Is anybody from the core team would like to say anything? Even though you're all there doing something in the background.
I would like to say that I give from my soul to the people of again, another hurricane that's going on this side of the world, and the devastation that this weather is causing to people, that they're in the path of these storms, and it doesn't look like it's letting up. So I give from my soul to people in the path of these storms that they can stay safe.
Would you like to tell us who you are? We know who you are.
I'm Vincent. I'm from the core team. I'm also one of the webmasters of the Keshe Foundation.
Thank you very much. This disasters which is hitting us frequently around the world has risen a question in the Keshe Foundation in the background. As we've done before with the Italian disaster, we need to open up and be ready in so many ways to show we can make change and be able to deliver the technology in disaster points for nations and governments to be able to use. As a lot of us are aware, when the disaster hit Italy, we announced we opened a factory at the Keshe Foundation for the use of the government to use any facilities we have, products or whatever, as part of the national asset. This will follow. We have helped before in one of these disasters in the island, and now we are waiting to see if any request comes from any of the Keshe Foundations in the path of the disasters, these hurricanes. Will respond accordingly. The problem we have is that we have to make a disaster group ready to respond, and knowing where we have our supporters that they can be supplied, that they can help in these positions. We know a number of islands have been hit again, like last time, and the part of the Keshe Foundation next few weeks and months is to set up these what we call disaster relief available through the Keshe Foundation technology. We are talking with the government that this will be done accordingly in one nation, and then we go back into understanding that the faster we set up the factories and organizations around the world that can supply these needs and demands at the time of disaster, we have to build the foundation into that course. That so we are there to deliver the speedy, local, but at the same time effective systems. At these points in this kind of position, local governments accept anything that it can help to alleviate the problems or whatever could be. In the coming time, we will release emergency water cleaning systems, which is getting developed in Italy, Keshe Foundation. And now we most probably collaborate with a couple of other organizations to have these ready for disposal. Fast delivery, clean water systems. We have produced these things, are going on the trial, and then it'll be easy to use, very simple packaging, the small boxes, you can put water through it. Any viruses, any bacteria, any impurities will get cleaned up, and at the same time the water becomes a source of food for the people who drink it. These tests are on the trial in a couple of positions for us. And then we release the knowledge according to Keshe Foundation manufacturing to be done and to be delivered. This is important for us to be able for these kind of disasters continuously around the world, that we do not need to open offices. We have enough Keshe Foundation supporters around the world who can take this to the next step, to the next point, and deliver directly at the point of need as it comes up. All it is to, as we increase the number of the factories around the world, part of the production of the factories all the time has to be ready for these kind of needs that we can respond immediately to. We don't need to wait. In the coming time, as we develop the Keshe Foundation, the structure of the manufacturing is now start running to couple of handful of companies around the world in the coming time, that they start operating, they start manufacturing. The part of the stock of these companies will be held on rotation for emergency disasters. So it means they always hold the stock in the background, that it can be delivered at any time. And the fresh stock becomes part of available continuous basis. I have foreseen how this can be done. Now that we start reorganizing the factories around the world from scratch, this gives us the opportunity to do, and we take it to the next step. Those of you who've been interested to open factories with the Keshe Foundation, please still apply in. We have started setting up a specific number of factories around the world that they start getting set up, structured, and to go into production. And then we announce more of these as it happens, as it comes in through the Keshe Foundation channels and not on the teachings. The problem with us is the rapid expansion, and a lot of people start learning the new technology is allowing us to spread the knowledge in a faster way. We would like to thank those scientists who are working in the background to bring the technology on the level of the universities and institutes technical understanding. Like to thank the professors in the Romanian universities who have brought knowledge in a very nice way into teaching of the university. We will hear more from the Romanian groups in the coming time. Is there any input from any other members of the Earth Council or the Universal Council?
This is Moshfik. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes, regarding these natural disasters, there are also a few man-made disasters, such as the Rohingya situation, which is affecting this Myanmar and Bangladesh region.
Which disaster can you explain, please?
Yes, there is a group of Muslims in the south of Myanmar where their villages are being burned by the army in Myanmar, and they are coming to Bangladesh, and there are about 400,000 of them right now. And there has been reactions from various people, especially people, not so much governments or leaders. Whatever the political reason for not helping this situation, the people are suffering, and it appears that there is an imminent need for imminent food shortage for these people, because that area is not prepared to, at this point, to take these people. And they have mental trauma because many of them have been killed, children, women, and others as well. And there are, videos of, you can see it on YouTube now, of villages are being burned across the river from Bangladesh. And these are videos taken from this side. And it is putting pressure on the system here, but the people are suffering. That's the important part. So right now, there aren't very many people in Bangladesh who are aware of the Keshe Foundation technologies, but we can do something here. And it would be useful to the foundation members and the knowledge seekers if they could come up with some solutions and to ameliorate this situation, which is getting worse every day, actually. And we have, uncharacteristically, we have rain, but it's not the rainy season, so it's raining heavily, so there has been some flooding as well. So both of these are also making the, what do you call it, the disease situation worse as well. So there are several issues that go with this. And similarly, there is a natural disaster happening on the north, which actually includes Nepal, India, and Bangladesh. And about 1,200 people died. And it's not the death is sad, but as well as the aftermath of it, which is the disease and the pollution, which stays for a while. And that's actually what we are seeing now. So as Mr. Keshe just mentioned, having these disasters and seems to be a natural situation these days, but a preparation, at least at a small scale, we can start even before the factory. We don't have a factory in Bangladesh, but we can prepare some things. We can move some things around. And of course, it will need some contribution and effort. But it can be done, I think. At least we can start, because we don't get it right the first time. So if we can do it in a manner so that we get some idea about how we can proceed carrying out such tasks, that would be a good beginning. Of course, factories coming into operation would definitely accelerate and help this process. So extending Vince's wishes, and Rui also brought it up last Tuesday. My wish is that the Rohingyas are released from their suffering, and those who contributing to it are also released from their misconduct. Thank you. Should I say it in Bengali?
Please go ahead.
মায়ানমার এবং বাংলাদেশে একটা অসুবিধা দেখা দিয়েছে, যেটা হচ্ছে যে মায়ানমারের সাউথে কিছু মুসলমান থাকে এবং তাদের উপর অত্যাচার করা হচ্ছে এবং তাদের গ্রাম পুড়িয়ে দেওয়া হচ্ছে, ফলে তারা বাংলাদেশে এসে আশ্রয় নিচ্ছে। এবং এই সময়ে তাদের সংখ্যা হচ্ছে প্রায় 400,000 অথবা 4 লাখ। এবং এই কারণে এটা শুধু বাংলাদেশের জন্যই অসুবিধা না, এইরকম এই ধরনের লোকরা সকলেই তাদের খাওয়ার দরকার, তাদের থাকার ব্যবস্থার দরকার এবং তাদের দেখাশোনার দরকার আছে। এবং বাংলাদেশ বাংলাদেশের ওই এলাকা এর জন্য প্রস্তুত না, ফলে খাবার অসুবিধার জন্য একটা সংকট দেখা দিছে। ফলে এখন এই রোহিঙ্গারা ব্যবস্থা করা হচ্ছে, কিন্তু তাও খাওয়ারের কমতি আছে এখানে। এবং বাংলাদেশ একদিক দিয়ে খুব একটা প্রস্তুত না, কারণ বাংলাদেশের মানুষরাও খুব একটা মানে রিসোর্স নাই, ফলে একটা ব্যবস্থা করা দরকার। এবং এই জন্য এছাড়া বৃষ্টি হচ্ছে এবং কিছু বন্যাও হচ্ছে, ফলে মানুষরা ওখানে অসুখ করতেছে এবং এর জন্য ব্যবস্থা করা দরকার। আমাদের বাংলাদেশে আপাতত বেশি ক্যাশ ফাউন্ডেশনের লোকজন নাই, ফলে আমাদের কিছু ব্যবস্থা আমরা করতে পারি, কিন্তু অন্যান্য দেশ থেকেও কিছু সাহায্য আসতে পারে। তবে এর জন্য আমাদের প্রস্তুতি নেওয়া দরকার। এবং মিস্টার কেশে বলছিলেন যে আমাদের ফ্যাক্টরি হলে আমরা এইসব ব্যাপারে সাহায্য করতে পারবো, কিন্তু ফ্যাক্টরি হওয়ার আগেও আমরা করতে পারি। এর জন্য আমাদের দরকার কিছু প্রস্তুতি নেওয়া, এবং এই প্রস্তুতির প্রয়োজন আছে, কারণ আমরা প্রথমেই এগুলো সব একবারে ঠিক করতে পারবো না। ফলে আমাদেরকে এটা করে কিছু অভ্যাস প্র্যাকটিস করতে হবে, এবং অভ্যাস না হলে তো আমরা সব ঠিকভাবে করতে পারবো না। এই কারণে এদের জন্য দরকার যে এদের সাহায্য হবে, এবং হচ্ছে আমাদের যে টেকনোলজি আছে সেটা ব্যবহার করা হবে, এবং সব মিলে এরা উপকৃত হবে, এবং আমরাও বুঝবো যে কিভাবে এগুলো বিতরণ করা যায়। এবং এর জন্য দরকার হচ্ছে আমাদের সকলকে একসাথে আসা, কেশ ফাউন্ডেশন যারা নলেজ সিকার্স এবং কেশ ফাউন্ডেশনের অন্যান্য মেম্বার সকলেই এটাতে কন্ট্রিবিউট করতে পারে। এবং এর জন্য আমাদের এটা সহজ কাজ না, কিন্তু এটা করা সম্ভব। আর কিছুক্ষণ আগে ভিন্স বলছিলেন যে সে আশা করে যে সকলে যারা বিভিন্ন ঝড় এবং অন্যান্য প্রাকৃতিক দুর্ঘটনায় ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত হচ্ছে তাদের জন্য তাদের শুভকামনা করার জন্য। এবং আমি ওনার ইচ্ছাটাকে আরেকটু অন্যভাবে বলবো, সেটা হচ্ছে আমি চাই যে রোহিঙ্গারা তাদের সকল কষ্ট থেকে দূরে থাকুক, দূরে চলে আসুক, এবং যারা তাদেরকে এইভাবে ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত করতেছে তারাও যেন বুঝতে পারে যে এটা ঠিক করা হচ্ছে না। ধন্যবাদ। That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other input from any other members of the core team or the council? Okay, thank you very much indeed for your participation. We go back to part of the teaching, as we have been teaching in depth.
Excuse me, I have a question. Excuse me, this is Bonnie in the United States. I have a question, but I'm not a council member. May I ask a question?
Please see if we can answer.
Okay. I don't mean to be presumptuous, but I am concerned about all of the lack of preparation for many of the people in the hurricane victims. Let's just take that for example. And of course, everything that's happening globally. So my question or request is, what is it that we can do to be able to get the freestanding MAGRAV generators so that we can provide them to these people? I know last year I bought enough supplies to make it and give them away, but I'm such a beginner. I know we don't have the blueprint yet. So what can we do to help you to get the blueprint out to the rest of us so we can pass it on to the world so they can be prepared? Thank you.
We will not release the blueprint of the freestanding units till we come to agreement with certain governments. This is what we are doing in the background. We don't disclose anymore because we saw the mayhem they created in Accra. These are a bunch of terrorists sitting in Belgium and Germany and other places. So we have, as we said, we work under the very close work. The MAGRAV units, freestanding, has to be done, released in negotiation with certain governments. You got to understand the units is not something to be developed, it's fully developed, fully operational. And the instant we release it, will destroy the whole industry. We know it, we have disclosed it to a number of governments, and it's a decision to be made how this is going to be released globally. It's knowledge which belongs to humanity, not to us, but by releasing it, we will create a mayhem. This is not something that it will be done, it's something which is complete. The energy production of it can be massive. We've been trying for 2 years to control the energy of this system to come out. Blueprints will only go through governments. We have no choice with this. It has to go, and we are negotiating with a number of governments in the background in developing a strategy that we can do so. Freestanding units are, or what we call the energy supply units, will change everything financially in the world of the finance. We can produce millions of them around the world in a matter of months. Oil industry will collapse totally, and you can see what the mayhem that will create. There are a number of situations which we are involved in. I personally headed in the direction of where we see it to go, and it doesn't matter, people say it's your right to have a blueprint, you have to give it. No, finish. That stupid game we played, we thought everybody is mature, is over. I consider everybody to understand what's going on, and you're mature enough to understand the, what we call the wireless system and the freestanding system will only be released through one government. And when these governments are mature enough or will allow it to come through, then it'll be done. It's not that we're going to do it. We did it with the blueprint of the MAGRAV. We saw the mayhem they created. Everybody who made the MAGRAV, they're using it and they are benefiting by it, and then they say it doesn't work because they don't want the neighbor to know or the government to know. This way, the blue freestanding, what I call the freestanding or free system of the energy development will only come out of one government. Will not do it in any other way, because first of all, we know the instant we release it, the mayhem starts, and the instant we release it, other problems will start that you prefer, we should have never released this technology. Oil industry, car industry, everything will be wiped out. Because it's so simple to develop, it's so simple to replicate. The situation is not when are we going to release it. The position is humanity is not mature enough, governments are not mature enough to be able to handle such a change. I've listened twice to people saying it's our right to have it, this time it's your right to have it when you're mature enough. A number of people are working around it. The Keshe Foundation has and will supply the systems to governments on a very close observation. Very, very close observation. And it's the decision of the governments to would come out with this technology. We are working at the highest level with governments, and we protect the what we know will come as a mayhem. This will collapse the whole of the oil industry. The American government's reliance on the oil will collapse overnight, literally. The Middle Eastern financial backing of the oil will collapse immediately. The point is, I was getting in a way encouraged and enticed by somebody very recently. We can hide it in another system that it doesn't show itself, then we can go out. I said that doesn't take more than a few minutes. Someone say, where is the energy coming to do this? So there's energy source in there. We are aware of it. This is not going to solve the problem of the disasters. If you have a blueprint, you can do it. This will create a much massive disaster if we don't do it the way we see it. On the other hand, you have to understand there's a number of things people can do, even they can help themselves. Even the materials in the disaster area can be used to generate the materials which is needed for rescuing or helping other people. The blame is not in teaching anymore. The blame goes back on, not in a way blame. The job goes back to the Keshe Foundation supporters around the world to start teaching. We have taught enough. It's for you to teach how to make a pen pants, how to make a pen pen, how to make the first system to create a balanced 22 degrees condition of warmth in the cold area. All has been taught. Nobody is doing anything about it, because you're just here to take what you like from the technology that might benefit you. Very few are there to do what you're asking to help and be able to contribute. But majority here are free riders, and this cannot be. This is what I said. We did the one nation, one planet. We have done the agreement, but everything has stopped except the what I call Universal Council, Earth Council in the background are pushing to make the ethos. The rest of you have given up because you couldn't get anything out of it free. Where are the teaching going? Why don't you go out and teach more? Why don't you go out and reach more? It's not us anymore. It's you as us which has to make the move. You have 2 hours a day free, put it out, put leaflets out, teach people, release pain, show people how to make ganses. It's a very strange situation. A lot of people do, a lot of people know, but they don't even want to know, because then they have to do something about it. It's not my problem till it becomes my problem. How many of the Keshe Founders followers were in the line of disaster or knew the state next to them is in line and is getting hit? How many patches did you make to take across? How many of you made gases of CH3 and CO2 to be able there to feed at least some of the energy which is needed? None. Bounty doesn't rain on people. Bounty has to come from the people to rain on others. We are here to serve, not to be served. And it's very easy to say, I'm prepared to do, teach. As I always say, it's an English old say, it says, give a man a fish, you have to give him one every day. Feed a man, teach a man how to fish, he feeds himself. It's the teaching which has to expand. This is what we are doing with a couple of governments, that we go on the radio stations to teach. That nationally known what to do, how you can help yourself. The problem is not the work of the foundation and the knowledge. Knowledge is complete. It's how you change it, how you evolve it. How many people know, but they're not so what I call happy to teach it, because there is so much negativity going on by 1 or 2 people on the internet. We are millions of us. We don't see anything wrong. People are using technology in every shape or form. It's us who has to learn to have confidence in the technology we carry. And it's for you, you know the line of disaster, How many of the Keshe Foundation people who were on the line of the disaster in the United States or in the islands coming, prepared themselves with gases and others and taught the others to do it, have it ready if it hits you? Maybe a handful. Maybe somebody else does it and I follow. Maybe, oh, it's just there, they should have known themselves. So, the free unit, the energy unit, is not the answer. The behavior of the humanity is the answer. How many of you carried on writing to the governments to sign a peace treaty? I know a couple of world leaders, 2 or 3 world leaders, have been taken on by the Keshe Foundation supporters at the highest level to be listened to be discussed, to take it further. We do not disclose any more of our activities for one reason. There's too many going on at the moment, and we do not allow the disturbances we saw in Africa to repeat itself. In time we respond. In time we'll respond only by sharing knowledge. You want to know how it is? Give me a free blueprint of the free. This free blueprint of energy has showed me how many greedy people are sitting around the foundation, just want to have that energy to do something with it. What did you do with the Magrav units which you built and saved you 30-40% on energy? Where did that money go? Did you put it back into the helping others with the technology? No. It was another car, it was another blanket or whatever. This is the reality. You cry for new technology, new knowledge. When it's given, it's just good enough for me to use it, what I save. This has to change. It's the job of the Keshe Foundation supporters to go out. Our job is not finished till we get this one nation, one planet, one race on the board of international organizations. That's the only way it'll be done. And number of countries are becoming to understand it. Number of countries, leaders, world leaders are coming to understand. It's more or less one of the only solutions left for us to do. We just heard from Bangladesh. Look at how Bangladesh was established. Why a nation in such a position? Why others, again Muslims? When is the time when the Christianity will gonna get hit back on it? You got to realize a balloon can take certain amount of pressure till it explodes. And then when it explodes, it goes back on the face of the people who are putting the pressure. When you have a balloon in your hand and you're squeezing it, who gets wet first when it explodes? You. Those people who create these pressures that Muslims are the worst thing and they start pressurizing everywhere, they have to watch. It's just about to blow up, and when it blows up, there will be nothing left of people who are doing it. I watch international politics very closely, and I'm fully aware of it at the highest level of what's going on, but it's not our job. Our job is to be there to change the course of humanity. Our job is there to be able to teach the technology that people can change it according to their own understanding. At the moment, I make ganses and that's it. I made myself a Magrav unit. My promise and my request was from you from day one when we taught Magrav system. When you make one for your neighbors and you teach him that he makes one for his neighbor. How many of you have done so? None. You just put a Magrav system at home and that was it. I'm saved, I'm okay, Jack. You have broken your ethos with us, not us with you. How many of you made patches for yourself and you make 1 or 2 or 3 to the neighbors and taught them? Just don't give them free. You have to always give them a fish. Teach them the technology. When they see the pain is gone. This is where the failure comes in. But not keeping the promise you gave when you asked for the technology we gave it to you. The technology was transferred through the soul of the man, not the physicality of understanding of it. And you have broken every promise to your soul. How many of you made Magrav systems and got benefit by it? In Germany, in France, in Austria, in Belgium, in Holland, in other part of the world. How many of you saved 30, 40%, and you made 3, 4, or 5 MAGAV units, and you went to your neighbor and says, this is my unit, this is what I built, I'm using it at home, I saved so much, I would like you to have one, but I'll teach you that you can make one with your children and your brothers and sisters. None of you did. I've saved 30%, 50%. Thank you, Jack. You broke the promise, and that's why the stagnation has come. How many of you followed the teaching to go to the world leaders and continue with the ambassadors and the rest till we get the one nation done? Nothing is in the hand of few members of the Earth Council, Universal Council, trying to find a resolution or a way at least to make a charter that they can go into the next step. While they are making the charters, you have to make the push. Why is there? Go on the internet, you speak Spanish, you speak any of the languages which the islands is hit, just write to them, anywhere. To the governments, the emails are open. We want to send this, these are the helps, we want to teach. What's the connection between the Keshe foundations around these islands who are getting hit or have been hit? Unless the Keshe Foundation supporter comes and asks for help, the ethos is you've broken your promise to start with. You made the ganses, you made the patches just for yourselves. I have a spare time. I used to be in pain, I can't move. Now I can move, I use the technology. I save the energy. I spend 1 hour a week, 1 hour a month making units, and I give it free and I teach it free. And then what's the use? I give you another power unit. The next thing is, where is the flight system? You promised us the flight. If we have the flight system, we can escape from this planet, then we have no problem. So what's the next after that? So, all the Keshe Foundation supporters, wherever you listen, whatever you do, go back into what you came to learn. You did not come to learn how to make the pen and pads. You came to learn how to be a correct conduct person in the universe. And you got it free. The more you receive, the more you give. You made 1 patch, it helped you. Make 2 patches and teach. And ask the person, this is the promise to your soul. Do that. Would have gone much further? Would we go much further? Or is the humanity ready? This is the question. This is what we have a problem. We've seen now in Peru, a guy who could think could understand the technology, instead of benefiting technology, has misused the name of the foundation and the place of the foundation for his personal benefit. We've seen this in other places. It's become a point of using a knowledge to abuse the others. And you pay for it heavily, not us. It's you who have to balance the soul, not us. Don't ask us, can you give us? I give you the blueprint for energy. How many of you cried for years? It's given the patterns to, I'll open the patterns. How many of you have understood? The only people who have understood the patterns and open it up is multinationals. The only people who sit in these teachings and listen to every word of these teachings are multinationals. We see number of people, number of organizations, car manufacturers, the space organizations, food industry, energy industry, they're all sitting here with the top guys listening to every teaching to see what they can take new. It's got to the point that it has become a free patent for industry to sell it to you 10,000 times more. The number of cars you drive today is the Keshe Foundation plasma technology in it. You didn't use it, they have hidden it. Ask any of them to open the patent on their energy on the new batteries. They tell you, we cannot do so. Because they cannot get a patent, because the patent is open according to what I promised. We forced one of the major corporations, company manufacturers, car manufacturers, to open the patents because it was ours. They said they have a patent applied pending. but they could not, they knew they would not get it because it was a Keshe Foundation nanotechnology which they've used in their batteries. People don't understand how multinationals are working around the foundation plasma technology in different way and different names, and are breaking through. Public is paying for a free knowledge it was given to you hidden behind. When you see something similar to Keshe Foundation work, ask them to show us a pattern. None of them can show you a pattern because they cannot pattern it. The way you and I and all the Keshe Foundation supporters past few years have operated has made sure a new science which is based on Keshe Foundation technologies in any shape or form is not patentable. In a 10, 15, 20 years time, you'll find very, very few patents because you have made it impossible the way we have opened it. But the energy has to go. There is no other way but to go through government. Has to go through governments. And you'll go through one government for us to open up. I have reached an understanding with a major government and I stick to my position till they move in the next step. Any other points?
Mr. Keshe, we have Miguel who says he has some questions about a system that he is working on apparently with the Flower of Life tetrahedron. This system can cure the emotion of a city from a long distance. I want to finish this system to help everybody, so it's a incomplete system that he has some questions about. Would you like to address that? I can bring him in as a panelist.
Let's have a look.
Okay, Miguel, I'll promote you to a panelist, and see what you have to say there. And I see Mark Erb has his hand up. I'll promote you to a panelist as well, Mark. Okay, so let's see, Miguel. Can you speak there? Hello, I see your microphone's open, Miguel. Go ahead. Maybe you need to turn your microphone on in Zoom or adjust the settings.
It's working now?
We hear you in the background. Just make sure you're close to the microphone. Go ahead. Try again.
It's okay. Can you hear me?
It's a little weak. It sounds in, but maybe if you keep talking, the automatic adjustment might kick in.
Okay. I think at this close. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you if we pay attention. It's just a little weak. That's all. Keep talking, and it might adjust itself. Do you have something that you want to present as a picture, or you just have a question on your system?
Yeah, I have some pictures about...
Can you tell us who you are, where you are from, please?
I am Miguel from Mexico.
Yes.
Miguel Angel from Mexico. I have 2 years working with plasma sciences. Well, I have some projects like from 1.5 years ago of Maghreb of the Flower of Life, and now I have like 10 different combination systems what I made in this 1.5 years, and I think right now I know how to use it. I have right now connected 2 equilateral triangles of Maghrebs of the Flower of Life, and I have 1 equilateral triangle of CO2 and zinc coat, and with some CO2 and zinc plasma batteries. And I have another one with another 1 equilateral triangle of the Maghrebs of the Flower of Life with CH3 cores. That is my final work, because the first time I start with another project of flowers, I discovered these connections in the trials. So I have some questions, because I know with this kind of system, with zinc coat and CO2, I can help. Sorry, I don't know how to spell it well, but I think I can help some persons in a distance. Right now, I have some sort of applications, medical applications, like helmets or something like that, but it's not really a helmet. It's a helmet tooth, I call it like that, because it's just a tooth, but it can work like a helmet, but it's in a long distance. And I'm practice with some sort of batteries of CO2 and zinc for using in the system of the flowers, because I think, well, I don't think that.
Can you show us anything? Do you have anything you can share with us that we understand more what you're trying to explain?
Of course, I have some pictures. I don't know.
Get the picture you want to show ready first, and then share the picture instead of your desktop. You're probably better off.
Okay, I have the picture open.
Okay, then go to share screen and select it.
Sorry, I didn't find share screen.
Usually it's at the bottom of the Zoom meeting window, along with the...
Thank you. Okay.
Yes, we see that. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. I don't know if there is some questions or I talk about the project.
Just explain to us, no problem.
Okay. The first time I didn't know how to use it, because I was making like a half set, and these three flowers are completed, are complete sets. Have 27 ears in his down, and 27 ears up, and like I think well, it's not really, I think. I know this really is a complete set of mangrove. These three work in different positions and different connections and different ways. I start to do it, these kind of connections, since, like I said, like 1.5 years ago. And when I started, the first time was this system was with crystals, but then I was changing things and some sort of connections, and like 3 months ago or 4 months ago, I connected in a tower, and I put 5 flowers of these ones in a tower, and in another tower I put 3. And in the 5 flowers, I put like 6 capacitors, like 4 of zinc and 2 of CO2. And all the flowers have a zinc coat. And in the other tower of the 3, I put 3 of CO2 and 3 of zinc. And when I start the connection, when I finish the connection, I can feel it, the plasma, like 2 blocks ago. I was walking, and in that time I was walking to the house, and 2 blocks around the house, you can feel it. You can sense the plasma. And the first time I start to sleep well, my wife too. We changed or I don't know how to spell it, but our life changed, and I start to reach more fast the talking with my soul. Right now, I have 3 months talking with my soul, not physically. Sorry, like talking like words. I talk with heartbeats. My wife can talk with words, but well, that start at that time. Right now, I can create more. Sorry, I'm creating more systems like this, and I'm going more fast because I'm asking myself if I am correct or not in some things, and if it is some kind of system who, sorry, what it's going to help us. I know the system can't have. Sorry.
Carry on.
I know this system can't. You can't use it with some kind of ganses. You need to have careful, because I make some experiments and it's very, very powerful, and it can reach every cell. So at one time in one tower, I think the three sets, I put a ring of CH3, and in like 2 or 3 minutes later, I start to feel the CH3 in my lung and in my head. So it was a big, big problem. So I take that gas away, and I was using it just for zinc and CO2. So I make a lot of experiments in that case, and when I heard the thing of to create the reactors of Flower of Life with the cores of CH3 and deuterium and in the classes, I start to create a rotational plasma high speed, making 3 levels, different levels. I put, like in the photo, I put one set more up, another set in the middle, and another set more down. So the 3 sets are in different levels, and I put a difference of batteries in a different set, in each set, like 4 in one, 4 capacitors in one, in the next one 1, and in the next one 3. I start to feel the rotation in around the flower, but just when the flower see you. If you are watching the flower, you can sense the power, you can feel it. And well, I start to understand how it works and change the connections. The first time, the towers, what I have on the other systems was in series. But right now I know it's more powerful if you use the magneticals and some connections, depending what you are doing. But in this case, that's why in this picture I have it like that. I've just connecting the magneticals. I have the magneticals together, and I have all the batteries, capacitors, well, the most of the batteries capacitors just in one reactor. And the reactor of the left, I have two batteries capacitors. I don't really know sure if what is CO2 and zinc, but it's mixed. But in the flower of the left, I have 2 batteries in front in the magnetical, and in the same flower I have 4 in the gravitational. And in the flower of the middle, I have just 1 in the magnetical, and in the other flower I don't have any. And right now I have another kit of flowers, and there are some. I don't know if I can show the connections, or you guys want to see the another flowers. Sorry. Hello.
I'm not sure. Maybe we can proceed to the other flowers. That would be fine. If there's no questions from Mr. Keshe there, perhaps.
Okay, thank you. This is the other flowers. I have right now these flowers with cores of CH3. Right now, I have connected in the same way, all together in Magnetico. I was trying at the first time to nanocode the house or something, just for trials and to understand how this works. But I think I make a short circuit of the house, so I didn't try it again. I put just 5 because that was what I have, and I wanted to use it all in this project. I know these flowers are beautiful in all the ways and very, very powerful. So I'm careful with this. I need to close the box, because if I don't close the box, because I have battery capacitor of CH3, if you wait like 4 hours, you can start to feel very, very wrong or bad. So I need to close the box for that. In the case of the CH3, in the case of the zinc or the CO2, you can have it free, and there is no problem in that case. And right now I know I can create tetrahedral of zinc and CO2. I can put 3 base and put 6 flowers in a tower, and creating a tetrahedral of 9 flowers, putting zinc in the front and zinc in the back, just in one in the front, one in the back. Well, one up, one back, one down, sorry, and the other one's CO2, and maybe a core of zinc and CO2. And if the system is watching you, you can cure your emotion. I think if I change connections and I put this in a higher, in somewhere high, and the flower is watching you, you can start to cure yourself, to cure your emotion. I'm not really sure what connection I'm missing, because actually I'm just learning. And well, I was with the need to show this because I have using it for a long time, but I didn't have the time and the I don't know how to call it, but I didn't have the opportunity to show it. But I wanna finish these connections. I asked to my soul, and my soul told me, like, don't do anything, don't do more. Ask first to Mr. Keshe, because I was going to change the connections again, but I think it was too much to the connections of the flowers, because I think when I changed it, I broke something. I don't know how to call it or how it's really working, but
Thank you very much. I'm still trying to understand what you're trying to do. You explained a lot of things, but I don't understand what you're trying to explain.
Sorry.
If you can be more precise.
Okay, at this moment I know how to use it, the flower. At this moment I know if you watch the flower, it's like when you put a candle inside a crystal and you put CO2 water. If the candle is watching you, you have the fields are reaching you. So I think it's the same way. if you are watching the flower can cure you, can heal you, and can balance you.
What we are trying to do now is we're taking guesswork out of these things, and we are working with different organizations and universities to evaluate these things. Background, a number of projects are going on to evaluate the effect of these systems and their process and their reach. So what in next few months and years we'll see more explanation of how these fields interact and affect us. So depends on how you do and depends on how you set things up. If you allow me, I'm going to go back on a piece of teaching which came up yesterday and can explain what you're doing here in partially as well. Can I share a screen, please?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe we all can learn a little bit in sharing knowledge. One of the most important thing is I've seen many people using MagRaf systems, using GANs. Can you switch off your microphone, please? We see over years that people start producing ganses and nanomaterials and nano coating, and I was in the medical teaching yesterday, and a discussion came up, and I think it has to be explained in a way that a lot of us understand. People use or produce these MagRaf units, they produce these ganses, but really don't understand the way they produced it. And then they say the system, it doesn't work, or the system doesn't have the same effect as the other system. Or they don't understand why things happening. Many of you start making these boxes of CO2, and you produce all sorts of gases which then you use to do whatever you like with. And then somewhere in the lab or next on the same table you have another MagRaf system or a GAN system making another kind of gases, and you think, okay, I have a CO2 here, I have a zinc oxide here. Next to it, another table, you're producing another plates, and you're producing, let's say, CH3. And so I'm producing CH3, I'm producing CO2, I'm producing CO, Zn, whatever. This has been one of the biggest problems in the way that people have been producing these materials. If you are doing one-off jobs, doing something, it doesn't matter what it is, okay, you're learning. But if you go into the details and you understand exactly what you're doing, it's very important that we all understand one principle. What picture you see is in the matter state. But in fact, what you all have, and I keep on emphasizing on this, is this. This plate is affecting this plate. This plate is affecting this plate. This plate here is working with this and with this. And this plate is working with this and with this. So in reality, none of you are producing one kind of MagRaf, and something happens tomorrow, you move this box over here and this box moves over here. Your gases produced here are not the same as the day before, and you're not necessarily producing CO2 or zinc oxide, or you're producing a variety of version of it. This is what has to change if those of you working on a specific ways to do a specific products or manufacturing certain things for yourself or whatever you do. One of the important parts is, I was explaining yesterday, when I made the first and the batches and the following, it took me 3-4 years to develop this. I use a box like this. You can go to any hardware shop and You can buy a box like this, 24 or 48 divisions. If you are planning to use a gas for a specific condition, especially for food or whatever, you got to realize that this configuration, these now be boxes you have in the in your lab or in the kitchen or whatever. This is not the same as having a box here and a box there, as I showed before. I use boxes like this as part of developing gases for a specific job. And you don't need to produce tons of it. Very small amount, but precise decision making on what you want. It's like, I remember an Indian cook saying, those who learn Indian cooking at the beginning, they use half a 2-3 spoon of anything to give it flavor and taste. But you need very little to get the best taste in the Indian curry, when you lose very little of each. It's the same as here. When you want to produce gas for a specific part of the body or a gas for a specific purpose, you have to plan it out. Nowadays it's just bang bang, do this and you can do it. When I used to do it, I explained my way, and then those of you who understand, follow and understand it if you want to use it. I explained this in the medical teaching yesterday. When I make a gas for energy, for food, I put condition that I can produce CH3 in this boundary. So I set my system that I only produce CH3 here. If I am using condition of diabetic, I produce CH3 only here. If I'm dealing with a condition of psychological position, pain or whatever, I produce zinc oxide here, anywhere up here. If I'm dealing with a muscle damage, you want to sort out the muscle damage. Muscle has to have something between CH3 needs energy. It has a factor of neurosystem, which is the emotion. So this should be the place for it. You can see here, the gases are produced. The gas here produced has an element of the sugar, which is the energy it needs to repair, has a energy emotion to it on the other side. When you're producing gases for a specific jobs, even for a flight system, those who are involved in flight system have to understand this. A lot of you just get the plates and randomly do whatever you like, and you think, I did it. It doesn't, because you haven't understood. Monkey see, monkey does, but monkey never understands how it was done. When I produce a gas of CO2, I specifically choose a place for CO2. I connect it as much as possible with CH3, but a connection with zinc. If I have a muscle damage, I bring my CO2 here. Because now in this area, this is what you have to understand. This is what has not been understood fully, and I tried many times to explain, is here in one, you create a CH3. But there is a CO2 effect behind it, because it's a zinc and copper and everything else could be in that combination of material in the mesh. Here I create CO2 purely. Here I produce what I need as CH3 or zinc oxide. So how do I produce it? Here I put my copper plate on this side, nano coated. Here I keep the same copper plate facing it. Here I want a CO2. Next step for me is I place zinc plate here. Here I put my mesh in a different way to make sure I produce CH3. Here I have a zinc, so I keep a zinc next to the zinc. Both not nano-coated, but on this side I put a nano-coated zinc. Now all the amino acids, all the magnetic field pressures become in what I want to produce. When I connect the plates, the connection is very simple. I decide if it's going to be on series or on parallel. Box to box. Now the current flow in this is fully controlled in every box. I put the first box here, the first plate here, I connect here. I go through the box the way I want to make the connection, and then I put the last one here. Here I connect an LED light, which means the energy is totally balanced in all the boxes, continuously. It's the behavior of body of the man. I have a bone damage I want to repair. Bone usually sits central. I put somewhere here, calcium production system. When you take the ganses out of these boxes, these are the mature ganses for exactly what you want to use for. You have the amino acid on each one, which is a combination of an amino acid for what you need. Many of you take the ganses alone and say, okay, this is a CO2 gans I've taken from this, or it's a zinc gans I've taken from this. But your body is made of amino acid with a common strength to it. So the amino acid, which most of you have not comprehended, is that this amino acid is carbon-related amino acid connected with CO2 and oxygen. This amino acid is zinc connection. This amino acid is sugar connection. If you take this and mix it with the water, this is what you need for production of protein for a given disease, for this certain effects. If you're running systems for health, I teach, nobody listens. I spoke about the amino acid. You put the amino acid from this box, which is specifically for this job, in your system or in your coil. You link up directly with the disease in the body of the man. all of you go for this. I go for this. You can only use the amino acid in this way when you set up a box like this. You replicate the body of the man. If you haven't seen it, I turn it upside down. You'll see another dimension to it. This is my box. The head. Right side, left side. Position of the head of the man. Position of the soul of the man. Now you see how the knowledge has to be used. Now you fill your boxes and what you need. Pancreas, intestine, the lungs, the heart, sexual organs, kidneys, prostate. Then when you use the ganses in the bottom of each pot, you go through the digestion system. When you use the amino acid of it, you go, no. That's the gans of amino acid, not the amino acid itself. Because now, as I explained in teaching yesterday, you have this position. This is your mouth, your stomach, your intestine, and this is what I call the sausage tube. You need to connect the sausage tube with the body of the man, which here is outside it, pancreas positioned here, sexual organs positioned in this level. All you need to do to reach it. The process is totally been taught if you go back to original teachings. When you want to feed someone, let's say anorexic, what do you need to do? You need to use these boxes. And this is not for CH3 to digest. This is for CH3 to create a field which sits around the body of the man, CH3 is a giver, so now it gives out. And in what it gives out is according to what is here not needed. And in return, it receives food from the environment. In a way, you create a circulation. But what happens if you put zinc oxide here? Now you see the effect. Now it's gravitational. It means pulling in what it needs. Elevation of the soul of the man in every cell, because every cell of the body of the man needs. So you become more mature in setting up systems. You make a dynamic system. Now you decide what I need to feed. I do with the amino acid. What I need to put in to change, I go through GANs of the material which is directed. CH3, ZH and the rest. But with this, you dictate with the amino acid, the water of the amino acid. The new dynamic system which come out of Austria in next few weeks, you will see it'll be very much controlled. The system will go out of the Austrian Keshe Foundation for dynamic system. It'll be so targeted that the doctors cannot deny anything. Because it works on this basis. It works on understanding the work and the condition. I want to elevate the soul of the man. I know exactly what I have to do, in which part I need to operate. I've done many systems in the past, where people do not understand. If I can do it three-dimensional, this was one of the boxes. I stack boxes this way. If I can draw a different color, then you can see it. So where you have your boxes that way, and it goes down, I make another underneath. Put 3 boxes. And you can go in more specific condition. The box to do with the soul of the man, the lung and the heart, the intestine. Then the box which sits here carries the exact characteristics which you want. But you sit up and make a box in one day. As I said, making one box takes me 2-3 weeks. This is why, as I said, when I used to run and do the test, I knew exactly where I go, and then I could replicate it in a cup. The knowledge has to be understood, not copied. If you look at it, when you eat something, it goes through your digestion system, becomes part of your lymph. It's this which calls upon it. It doesn't go float, find me. This tissue, to do with, let's say, your lung on the right hand side, has a problem. The lymph, which has received the strength, transfers its energy. Now the lymph finds its way to it. Because the call upon the energy is called. And no one has ever understood this. And I've tried to explain this in so many details before, but it has passed. You have a problem in your kidney at this point. You have put the gans and you made the structure, and the lymph has digested the food through the energy. It just doesn't go anywhere. The lymph and the strength of this links up, and the lymphs find its way in the physical matter to it. Brain organizes as a diversion whatever it does not need, it is surplus, there is no link to it. It goes and stays in your liver. And if you understood the work of liver, everybody thinks that the blood feeds the liver, but in fact, the energies from the lymph passes across the wall of the liver to be stored. Because liver again has matching gravitational magnetic field of this. When there is no food of it, it goes up on the liver. And it's controlled by the brain how much needs to go where. This is how the body of the man works. But this is how every being in the universe works, not just the body of the man. If you're a physician in a deep space and you come across another being and you see a problem, how do you help? How do you solve? How do you assist? If you understand the concept, if you understand the principle, then it's easy. But if you have to go to university to be graduated on how to treat a man for a human being or another being from such a place, such a way, then you have a lifetime of university to go through to learn anything about every creature in the universe. But if you understand the principle, every being has the same process. What would you like to change? What would you like to reach? For me, it's easier to go for the soul. Because at the end of it, they all connect to it. It's the creator of it. But to be able to handle this needs a lot of expertise. A lot of understanding of totality of the knowledge of the plasma in respect to everything else. When you make a helmet, get the box. Now you want to make a helmet. This box here, this is the position where I want to help the ear, the inner ear, the emotion, the soul. Which box I need to produce what. In this process, you have very, very direct effect. This all has to be calcium. Nothing else. Here you have totally zinc oxide. You want addition of magnesium and calcium. You dictate the position of the soul. The knowledge has to be understood fully for those who want to explore it. In a way, if you look at it, those of you who are mechanically minded or handyman, it's very much like the twin glues. You buy a glue, twin glue, you have to mix the two to get the right combination. Here are a number of clues. CO2, zinc oxide, calcium, potassium, and zinc. As I said many times before, none of you, I haven't seen many people, I've discussed this with Arman before as well, have gone into producing combination of zinc and CO2. Because then you approach the more accurate position. How do you produce a zinc and CO2 at the same time? You had a nano copper here, you put a zinc plate here. What about if you put a nano zinc plate here? What about if you put magnesium here? Now here you reach exactly what you need. No one listens, so we carry on till you mature to a point that you can understand. When you do this, you have to watch where your copper sits. The only muscle red tissue, whatever we have, is on the boundary. You can even go to the box next door. But knowing you place this, that you have no copper interfering. Now, convert these. You achieved the condition of perfect soul condition. Place the water of its amino acid in the dynamic core. And put a fountain of its gas water in the city. See how many people you change. This technology, near enough to it, but not complete, was used by the Russian and the American ship. You can change the social structure. This is where this technology now, from now on, becomes effective. Those who've been in my lab, they've seen these boxes around me, I've shown them. And each box has different color on it. They're still as part of the museum pieces, will be shown in the future. This is why the way I worked is so effective, because everything has to be taken into consideration. Not just I made the zinc box and I made a copper box and they do. Those of you who are trying to achieve flight have to follow this in production of any material. This is how you become correct. Gradually understand the totality. But in every system, you have to make sure the two ends meet. That the energy is balanced, the conditions created is correct. Now, you can see the operation between the physicality system and the soul system. It's the maturity in the knowledge. If you go back in the teachings of medical teaching, the health teachings, some 32 of them, in so many ways, again and again, this has been explained in every lesson. Change this box from the soul of the man to the lung when you have a problem. What's the function of the lung in the boundary? Where is the problem in the center, or whatever? You choose, you can target. This is why from the beginning, I always said, there is an emotional side to every cell in the body of the man, every organ. Because now you connect the two together. When the two connect together, they create the soul of the entity. And you work through that way. It needs two dimensions to interact, to produce, to create the soul. Then you work 100% correct. You can then go back into space and change this to the combination of anything could be in another planet. Let's say whatever you like, C. The only difference you're going to get is this, which makes you green. But the process is exactly the same. Understanding of the technology in its true essence has to be done this way. Those who've been in my lab when I used to do these tests, or in my office in Belgium, they've seen these boxes on my table. But they could never understand what I was up to. You create everything which is already connected to each other. So, when you use another, trying to balance, connected to each other, they bring balance to the body of the man or the entity. Understanding of the technology is understanding its application according to what you need. When you're in the space technology and you're trying to create a lift and motion using dynamic system, look in what I've taught you and understand the grid. Then you can understand how you're loading the grid. You always have a miscomprehension of this totality. Do I receive more, or do I actually need to give to receive more? Or do I pretend that I need to receive, then by receiving I increase the pull, that by it I create the giving. But I have to find the right ratio to be able to do it. But because you have used the amino acids of the GANs in either position, now your emotion controls the flight. Now your soul controls the flight. This is where we bring the control of the physicality to non-dimensional systems. When in the future the captains of the crafts, those who like to fly with them, travel, their key carries part of their soul which connected to the system. tailor-made control system without any wiring. In the direction where we are working now for wireless energy transmission, which is very soon people would ask us, now you have to give us the blueprint of the wireless system. You don't need to have a switch that switches it on. By your intention, the system come on. Because the energy is from the center. You enter a room, you need the light will be there. The biggest problem is to understand how slowly I bring what I've been teaching you in past few months about the soul, which is your control of it, then it comes through your emotion and becomes your physicality manifestation. You start learning. Now the two parts come together. For those who still want to see more physical dimensions in everything else, you got to realize that the total balance of the energies in the soul and the physicality dictates and is dictated by your soul. And then you call it intention. Do I need a light to see when I go into the room, when I see through the soul of my soul? Not really. But if you want to see, to appreciate the beauty, you still can do. Many of people who understand this process in the time to come, they travel the depth of the space by simply understanding the work of the amino acid, as I showed you, and their own soul. Then you can manifest yourself in any dimension, any physicality you need. There is a one understanding, and that is the soul of the man, the way we have created it in through these systems, is connected to the amino acid of this planet. Wherever you go, you will manifest yourself in relation to the space and dimension, but in relation to the field strength of this planet. You have no choice. You come from the motherland, the earth. This is how we know who is from where and what is the reason. Any questions?
Yes, Mr. Keshe, it's Rui from Portugal speaking.
Good morning.
And good morning.
You're a member of the Universal Council.
Yes, for the Portuguese language.
Yes.
And my question is, can you picture, or it's too soon, how our interior McGrath works, the lungs with the heart and with the breathing, bringing in, bringing out, taking and giving, to make true our intention. Let's say from here, where I am in Portugal, I can help the other souls to elevate the things I pass through by my wish. And I send them creator love that understands, so for they elevate their souls and take better the experience they are passing through.
Let me explain to you, before you go any further, let me explain to you something, because you're a member of the Spanish speaking, or a Portuguese speaking member of the council. You are responsible for the souls of all the Portuguese speaking people around the world. We have the hurricane which is going through Caribbeans and part of wherever it's landing and going through. And you have people who are for Portuguese speaking and are in this position.
Yes.
The gift is given to you as a member of the Earth Council, Universal Council, in conjunction with the Earth Council responsible for that part. If you two match up and the wish is of the same, you'll find out these people walk away from a lot of things. You have to learn how to work. One of you is the soul and the other one is the physicality. And the intention of both to be the same will reach those. This is the beauty of the gift. You will find out what it is and what it will be as you become more mature in understanding the powers you possess. So if you're Portuguese speaking, and let's say it goes towards Brazil and the islands in that direction which speak Portuguese, your intention as a member of the Universal Council, as a member of those who understand through their emotion the language of the soul in Spanish and Portuguese, you'll find out your wishes will come true. Your wishes is there to be done. We cannot stop natural processes. As I said in the very recent talks, we have earthquakes here and we have hurricanes. You have never been through magnetic field hurricanes in space and see what mayhem that causes. These are nothing, these are child's play. But what happens if you have a Portuguese speaking going through one of these in space and it calls for help? You reach it because it's connected to you. The point is that you have to make, or you have to have the trust in your soul that what I wish will be reached. Not to wait to hear on the news something happened, oh, that was my wish. Because you have to have that much confidence as a member of the Universal Council as any person on this planet. But you have been gifted through your soul to be in that position. And the Earth Council member of South American continent, come together, make your wish. You will see what will come up. Things will break, earthquakes are there, people will find different problems. But what is your wish will be done. This is how much you have to have trust in your understanding of what you are there. I understand what you're trying to say. Can I wish an increase to help everyone? In a way, if you can help yourself through the same process, you can help the others through the same process too. The breathing, the control, emotion has to come from the emotion of the soul of the man, not the physicality of the man. And this was, I was in the teaching of Caroline yesterday, and she emphasized back on we thought before. You have to have trust in what you have wished. You can reach all the people in the disaster zone. If now is the time for South American member of the Earth Council, he's here, Dr. Rodriguez. Understand, come together because this is what it is. And if you two souls match and fit into exactly what your desires are, both the same, you will see the change in South America, in the people who are in the line of disaster in the Spanish. The same with the other speaking, Spanish-speaking people, member of the council who was just on. You have to start learning how to collaborate and cooperate in times like this. We cannot stop what we call disasters. These are not disasters. These are the natural processes for this planet to live. It needs these processes on a regular basis. It also has to find a way to do, to be able to help, to serve. And then you will see that, oh, we thought of this, it happened. And confidence in your doing, in what your wishes are, will bring that about. Does not need a breathing system, it doesn't need the changing of the heart or the lung. Go back to teachings of the past. Go back to teaching of Christ, bless his name. You find the answer very quickly. That is, if he could erase the dead body through the soul, you have the gift much more. You have access to all the souls through the language you have chosen.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. I was trying to see if I was right about my thinking in the used interior McGrath. But when I intend some wish, I feel in my heart if it's reaching or not. I feel it right away. And sometimes I don't feel it, so I change my understanding of the feeling to reach. I cannot explain how I do it, but it's so.
The point is, the McGrath is the soul of you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Any other question? As I said, the teachings gradually become very, very in-depth. For a physician does not need to touch or be with a patient if he understands this process. You reach through the soul of the man, and through it, understanding the position of physicality, you can do anything. The beauty of it is, if Christ, through understanding of the elevation of the soul of the man, could raise a dead man, now the man is in possession of the same knowledge. So those who are gifted in being giver of the soul will achieve the same. The beauty with this technology is that it cannot harm no one, but it can elevate them to pass the harming themselves, or the harm which has been done to them, to overcome.
Mr. Keshe, we have a couple of people in the panelists who had their hands up, Mark Erb and Boniface. We also have Jalal coming in as well. I'll promote him to a panelist.
Can we hear what we have from the other two first, please? The ones who came in.
Mark Erb, maybe you'd like to go first. You had your hand up first there.
Hey, yes, this is Mark Erb from Virginia, and I'm wondering if we right now have the capability to harmonize our souls for the positivity to help join in the ascension of Earth and become positive, peaceful, loving force in the galaxy and beyond.
I explained this recently in a very different way to some of the most powerful people around the world. The confidence of peace and tranquility has to come from the world leaders at the moment. And it's the job of the Keshe Foundation supporters, and as I just explained to our delegation from the Portuguese language, is for them to reach, to understand it needs the work of the two. This is one of the reasons in the background I promoted, and in a very simple way allowed or asked or requested, whatever shape or form you want to put it, that the members of the Earth Council, Universal Council and the support team and the core team to meet, to have a common sessions. This is the sole reason for it. That they start working, and gradually as they realize they are connected and their connection to each other affects every being on this planet, will start changing the pattern. When you're in the meetings with the Earth Council and Universal Council, discuss, bring the problem on the table with the Earth Council. I have a problem, I would like to help people in disaster area there, can I have your support? Then you see the result. The death, injuries, destruction is not an end. It's the process we have to go through, and depends what we learn from it or people learn from it. Those are interaction of the conditions without the soul. These are the physical entities interaction, or interaction of the souls of a bigger dimension that we have no understanding of, we need to understand. But we can help ourselves through the strength which we have been given or we have ourselves. Gradually all the pieces which you put together are coming together. The operation of the councils, the operation of us understanding the power of our souls. And then once we become wise to this, then the rest outside the boundary of this planet becomes very easy. One of the jobs of the Universal Council, and especially the Earth Council, is understanding the efforts, the strength of the soul of the planet. This has not been established yet. Members of the Earth Council do not understand this power which they carry, they need to carry. This planet is like us, has a soul, because it's a dynamic, it's a living thing. Just because we're sitting on a donkey does not mean the donkey has no energy, no soul and no life. This planet has a life, has a soul. It's for the members of the Universal Council, especially the Earth Council, to tune into this. Then they feel what is to come, why the planet behaves this way. What is its position and the strength in what to come. You'll find out, you'll feel the changes, you'll feel what needs to be done to protect, not just the man, the trees, the animals and the rest of it. In the very near teaching, I will teach about the soul of the plants. The interaction of the soul of the, what we call the vertical people. And then how we as humans have to understand it. Then we will feel them, we understand them through the soul, we know what we have to do and how we have to position ourselves in respect to them. Everything in the universe is a living entity. It's for us to understand what is connected to what strength that we would like to be connected to it. There is no wasted life, no wasted energy anywhere in the universe, because in somewhere they are part of a bigger structure or a smaller structure of life that we cannot see, or we are not aware of, or we are become aware of, but we don't know what to do. If you are a cell in the muscle tissue of the heart, you're just a cell, you're doing your job, but you don't have the comprehension that, okay, I'm in the heart, I have to move in this position, be there to create a wall, that the blood goes through it, that this heart beats, that this man, this part can give life to another being, which is the man, that this man needs to be in the environment of the planet and the rest. So, in reality, we are that cell in the wall of the heart. How do we become aware of it? Of a bigger scale. Unless we go through the soul of the thing. We cannot go from the cell of the wall of the heart into the cell of the brain. But as a gravitational magnet, as a soul of every cell which has one, we can connect and see a bigger dimension. And through the bigger dimension, we become enlightened. And this is the whole purpose of these teachings. To understand, to be able to see the bigger structure and how we are part of it and we can be part of it and how we affect the totality of it. So let us find our own power of our own soul, not find our own soul. And then let's find the power of the soul of this planet. Then let's find out the soul of the solar system and the galaxy. Then we can communicate with anything, because then we found the secret, we found the key. Yesterday in the teachings, they went through the name of the list of attributes of God. And one of the knowledge seekers went through it in Arabic, which is on Wikipedia, and the other one in English. And they went through the 99 names. And then at the end of it, what I explained, that's the soul of the man. The 100th one is the man itself, the soul of the man, the creator, which you are one. And this is important for us to understand. When you read the reading of the message of God, which are the physical messages, and how you have to behave in physical life, and then convert it into understanding of the words which are the emotion of the soul of the creator, then you understand the soul of the man. One of the biggest words in the world of any religion, in all the words of it, in Arabic, in Hebrew, or whatever, in Christianity, is one. Is in Arabic prayer, Islam says, Allahu Wahad. Wahid means one, unity. That's the soul of the man. In Christianity, we call it the Holy Ghost. In Hebrew, we call it something else. In Buddhism, but it's all the same. It's about the soul of the man, which is one. Now in a box, I showed you how you can elevate directly the soul of the man. There are pictures of these boxes which I've made somewhere on the internet. The beauty of it is, when you put your LED on this, which is actually the light, that LED is the light of the soul of the system, runs forever. If you do not play with it, leave it as it is, it runs forever. It's the soul of the system. It's the light of the system. For a long time, I used to make a telephone call, just to see how long it goes, because it was going for on and on, and we had to dismantle it. I used to make a call to Dark Lorenz and says, I'm enlightened, because we wanted to know how long this thing will go. This is the way the system works. This is the way, if you understand it, we had to teach you one box at a time. Now it's time to bring the boxes together. And when you bring it together, you bring all the cell, all the souls together. Because each one of these systems has one soul. Each one of these boxes. Now you create a combination of souls which is near enough to man. If you can bring most of the elements according to where they are in the body of the man, you'll make it. Any other question?
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Yes?
This is Boniface from California. How are you doing?
Not too bad, thank you very much.
I have, I need clarity on something. We were grateful for the opportunity to contribute when we were trying to get the World Peace Treaty signed. Now, it appears that since that time, from what you were saying earlier this evening, there is some activity going on from the council as far as reaching out to world leaders in some fashion. I guess I'd like, some clarification or some clarity in terms of what exactly they're doing and how can we knowledge seekers help with that effort. I think I have some idea, but I'd appreciate if you could sort of articulate.
You give us your ideas, and then I articulate.
Okay. Fair enough. Obviously, there is no Haifa in the equation.
There is no what?
Haifa. We're not inviting them to Mount Carmel to do anything there.
Let me explain that one. The reason I chose Mount Carmel, Haifa, was for the end of the belief in the Baha'i faith.
Okay.
Because I explained to you, reason I explained this before. The cornerstones of the Baha'i faith is established to bring world peace and unity. And Mount Carmel was chosen, the building of Universal House of Justice was dedicated and built and was promised that it will be used for bringing the world leaders to sign the world peace. And when it was offered to them, they refused it. So they went against the wishes of Baha'u'llah, bless his name. That's the end of the Baha'i faith. They finished their own term. When they went against the wishes of their own creator. This I knew before, that they will do this. You will see the start of the demise of the Baha'i faith around the world.
Okay.
This was especially, let me explain this, this is very important. This was risen in a conversation with governments very recently. Why did we choose Haifa? Because it was you cannot kill, thou shalt not kill, but you can kill yourself, you can demise yourself. The cornerstone of the Baha'i faith, the whole belief of it, is on bringing world peace, unity to mankind. And when the opportunity was given to them, they had to refuse it. I knew from the beginning they will do. Because of the way the structure is set. Abuse of the name of God. But this is a more recent one. This was to bring an end by themselves into going against the promise of the Prophet, which was built to be done. When is it going to be done? Who's going to bring the world peace? Who's going to bring the world leaders to Mount Carmel? If they are waiting for their one day, they do it. And they're all busy in one thing, gathering more wealth. Second Vatican is getting established in a faster way. The reason I chose Mount Carmel, I knew they would not say. They will say no, because they had to bring themselves to it. The cycle of man by the Prophet of physicality with this action has finished. They had to do it themselves, not us. That's why we went, as from the beginning, as I explained, in a dimension as we stand, worldwide, without the temple. We established the peace in the soul of the man, not in the building, on a mountain, which was promised. And the leaders of the Baha'i faith were directly against the wishes of their own prophet. So they brought their termination to their own end. Next question.
Okay. So that would mean then that we can reach out to any world leader besides China, of course.
You can reach anyone.
I'm sorry?
You can reach, there is nobody besides.
Well, I recall you mentioning that...
but the Chinese have to do it with their governments. You can do what we said about China, is we have to understand the political structure in China. And on the other hand, we have to understand our forces and the works which are done beyond understanding in public domain with different nations, with different governments, and we have to respect one by one of them. There are a number of countries which now Keshe Foundation followers are talking to governments and the leaders of the nations. Very recently, very recently, I was on a flight with one of the world presidents. And it was very easy to open a conversation in respect to the World Peace Treaty, in respect to her country. But I sat and I said, my soul goes to her, that she gets elevated to the understanding and understanding of the peace. The Keshe Foundation followers are not very weak people. We have some of the most powerful people, business-wise or politically, understand and have been touched by the knowledge of the technology and the soul of the technology and the soul of the foundation. And they are working in the background, a number of people. But we don't go open anymore because we have seen in so many ways, instead of supporting, there are those who believe in destruction, because then they have to confirm their existence. So, as you've seen in our teachings in past 6-8 weeks, we've gone totally in a different direction. We just teach, we excel the level of understanding of humanity, and we didn't bring the other world leaders. You have to carry on teaching, you have to carry on putting requests again and again to the world leaders. We learned this one, especially from the Prime Minister of Australia. One of our supporters in talking to the Australian Prime Minister found out that the Prime Minister never received the invitation. But we received a response back that he's occupied somewhere else. Now they are approaching a totally different way with the Prime Minister. We have to carry on till the point comes that they receive it, they understand it. Because there's so much filters goes on. Reach them through the soul. We have a huge problem in our failures, blaming the others why they're not doing it. The Keshe Foundation supporters don't want to stop. Don't want to stop teaching. Don't want to stop writing to the same ambassadors and everything every few weeks till it gets through. We have to mix the emotion, the soul, and the physicality together. We have the next step with a number of governments, presidents who are lined up for us to talk to in respect to these things.
Excellent.
Don't stop teaching. Don't we negotiate. As I said, no one knows where we are anymore. Because we used to do, and they used to target a bunch of what I call hooligans. But in time, they're all going to be looked after. The government has started taking actions for these things. But now the process is much more stronger. It's going in the background in a very dynamic way. We communicate with our people who are there doing things. We negotiate. We're setting up different factories. We don't go anymore one factory somewhere they can target. We have a splash to the round. We have the strength to do it. Those who are in the background, they know what we are doing. We're taking more charge of creating condition for peace through the work of the Keshe Foundation. As I was talking to some of the directors of the Keshe Foundation this morning, none of us asleep. We just get enough sleep, just the physicality to be over. We wake up, we just work for one target, to bring peace. We know because we are correcting what we are doing. Many of the directors of the Keshe Foundation, many supporters of the Keshe Foundation work around the clock in trying to bring peace, in trying to make sure the technology is in front, is done in the correct way. Some people see it as a bad thing, but I see it as a positive thing. We were not aware of what's happening in Peru till people who are the Keshe Foundation supporters went all the way from Holland to Peru to find out, to attend the teaching, which we had no awareness of. I was supposed to be there without me knowing, because they made false promises. And then with their writing, we realized there is a pitfall, there is a mishandling by people who pretend to be the supporters of the foundation. So our own people, in a way of bringing it into open, we don't go and silence it and shut it up. We go to understand it, what the problem is, to solve it. Now we understand, thanks to our Dutch people, going all the way there to learn how to make an energy unit, opening a work of one man who tries to do things for himself, to benefit himself, his pocket personally. But till they don't bring, it's the same what happened in Germany. In Germany, there was a lot of problem with one guy who was trying to do workshops. We found out there's a lot of problem in there. So we had to sort it out. We had to eliminate or isolate him. That's got nothing to do with the foundation. It's trying to use the name of foundation. These things happens continuously. At the same time, we have group of people who work with governments. There are many Keshe Foundation supporters who are working directly with the governments, in trying to structure different ways that we are there to do things, and it allows us to go into the governmental structures. Yesterday, the day before, we received a request from one of the major corporations that they want to look into the technology for their benefit. And it's all coming together because there are people who continuously work. I walked this morning in just somewhere to have a coffee in isolated place, and a guy came and sat next to me, and he asked, "Are you Mr. Keshe?" I said, "Yes." And then in a conversation, he had to ask Caroline a couple of times, "Is he Mr. Keshe here?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Yes, this is Mr. Keshe." And conversation leads to another, with some other things which can happen. But you see, they are working and they do things in the background. The guy knew everything about the technology and met here and there, and then it can lead to something else. The ethos is to work unconditionally, and it'll come to. We are giving from our soul. You are supporters of Keshe Foundation. Don't stop developing technology. To you, it could be a mistake, it could be something wrong. But when you bring it out, somebody else can learn from it. Don't stop approaching the ambassadors. Don't stop approaching the world governments continuously. Because somewhere down the line, somebody opens up why we haven't been told. It is the time to change, but we have to do it. Keshe Foundation supporters are very silent, but they are working very effectively underneath. And I thank all of you for it. Do not expect to see results tomorrow. The position with different governments is coming up so rapidly. We negotiate. Keshe Foundation team in past 3-4 months have been traveling right across the world, everywhere. The way they are moving things around, don't discuss anymore. We don't need to. You will see new developments everywhere. We don't operate that way anymore. The only thing is, we saw a problem in the workshops, we saw a misjustice, and thanks to our Dutch followers who brought it to our attention, we stopped it, but it brought us progress. Their complaint showed a weakness in the structure of the Keshe Foundation, and we thank them. Thanks Richard and the other Richard in Holland who brought this up to us. Now we stop the abuse, because at the end of it, I get blamed for it. But it's not a blame. An organization like this finds people everywhere around the world who try to abuse it. But at the same time, there are huge supporters who do other jobs.
Well, thank you, sir, and thank you for the opportunity to help out.
Thank you very much. Don't stop enlightening your president. He needs it more than anybody else. He needs a lot of elevation in his soul. Any other question?
I'm just looking at the list here, and let me see. Was it Mark Erb? Did we hear from Mark yet? Completely?
Yes, you heard from me.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Is there anyone else in the panelists who we've... oh, Jalal, I believe that you had your hand up. Can you speak now? I can try unmuting, but it's always a bit risky.
Yeah, no problem. But please, for those Keshe followers, for you who are knowledge seekers, understand the teaching of this morning, because this brings a new insight, new dimension in both how you can run systems, understanding your own physicality without actual physical interaction or input. If you understand this new process, a lot of new medical systems can be developed. If you understand this process, what I explained, new materials can be developed. Mutation of elements comes from these kind of processes, because now you create new conditions. If you go a step further in this knowledge and you understand it, so if you all looked and did a lot of, we've seen a lot of work, so I said to myself, how come they don't follow the source? Isn't a way we have to do the simple systems to become more understanding to use a bigger system. Now, instead of each box, place a dynamic reactor. With different combination of load. I promise you two things, because I've done this before. Some of these will fly off. Some of you, what you got to look for is production of new materials in the gaps, in the spaces. The operation of this reactor can lead to production of gold in here, where operation of this reactor can lead to production of plutonium here. This opens a totally new dimension. This brings us to nearest, closest to real work of any system in the universe, at least with the knowledge you have now. Don't wait to see, understand what fields it creates. Understand the process. If you're waiting to see a literal physical condition, then you already failed, you haven't understood. But if you put a system here and you wish happiness, and you find in that place for happiness, in which system was the cause of, transmitted, directed. Try the dynamic system in the right combination. Set the dynamic systems like a soul of the man. Now the scientific world, we know some scientific organizations have started doing testing these dynamic systems for construction of like helium and plutonium and the rest, without actually the material. For me, with my knowledge, it's so easy to deplete every nuclear warhead anywhere in the world. The physical structure is there. When they open it up, there is no material inside. The whole knowledge now needs expansion, not teaching. Needs to be understood. Need to go to the next step. needs to be comprehended in its literally real operation, then the rest is easy. Then what you will see is very simple. You will start seeing balls of plasma in different positions, in different colors. Because they create a condition of dynamic. I know one guy who's got 100 dynamic cores, but they're spread everywhere. You cannot see anything. If he brings 100 and sets them up this way in a coordinated manner, then you start feeling the fields. Those of you in the space technology trying to achieve flight, understand this, then you see it. In so many ways, if you look at what is here, and you look at the star formation, this star formation is for flight system. So somewhere here, you produce a field, you should see a plasma. But the more you push, the more interactions you bring, the more it comes. Because the ratio is more or less 1 to 3. You need to absorb from 3 directions to be able to give from 1, because giving is much more. You have to receive more to be able to give more. That's why the star formation is made. Now you have the same thing here. Start understanding, then you fly. You can solve every problem, even in the medical systems.
Keshe?
Yes.
Good day, Mr. Keshe. Jalal here.
Yes, Jalal.
Can you please, after you finish this subject, speak about fear?
No. Why should I speak about the joy? You carry the fear.
No, how to, you know why, Mr. Keshe? Because our life is, all our life is created of fear.
This was one of the names you read in the teaching yesterday in Arabic.
Yeah.
Contain fear?
Yeah.
Which one?
Al-Dhar.
Yes, but what does it mean? Is that fear of you from yourself, or fear of you from something you don't know?
No, it's the fear that we cannot give because we lose. That's why I'm bringing this subject.
No, the thing is you have to go in a different dimension. When you give, you're given what you don't, what you can help, not what you don't need. If you look at it that way, you succeed. Look at the fear is, if I give, I lose. But if you look at that, if I give, I succeed for somebody else to succeed, for somebody else. Are you, this is something which we have to solve inside ourselves. Do you have any fear to teach your son mathematics and knowledge?
Absolutely not.
So why do you have fear for something else that you give?
Because we structured like this.
No, we have decided to be. We are not structured.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a big difference. It's a very, very big difference. This is what I said. Fear has been part of the physicality, not the soul of the man. And when you understand this, then you don't need to worry about it. There is no, the fear has been used and elevated for matter of control of the physicality. The soul has no fear. You go back, you're a Muslim, look at the life of Muhammad, that's his name. Did he have any fear when he went and started demolishing the, what do you call it, the statues? No, because he knew by it, he brings people to be detached from the physicality of this planet. The statues connect us to the physicality of this planet. Why should be fear part of it? The fear should be in me not being able to elevate another soul. Does not matter to happen to me. The fear should be me not being able to serve the others, not them serving me. then there is no fear. Then there is a joy, because then when you see your son from your teaching becomes a highly educated man because you helped to do it, do you have a fear of highly educated unless you are a father who doesn't want to see success of your son? So what is the fear? The word fear should be fear of failing to elevate somebody else, not what's going to happen to me. And in the physical world is what's going to happen to me. Do wrong, you'll be chopped your hands and the rest of it. Do this, we do this. Don't do that, there is a punishment. Punishment has cause of the fear for stopping you to elevate your soul. So you're always physically worried what's going to happen. But if you understand, the fear of the man should be where I'm going to fail, not to elevate another, then you have no fear because you give unconditionally. Redefine, then you succeed. Any other question? Shall we call the days over 3 hours?
Well, we do have a number of questions in the Q&A, and we have Alberto who had his hand up, that perhaps we can allow him to...
yes. I get complaints regarding you, Mr. Rick Crammond.
Oh, why?
He is choosing who he wants to elevate. We never get promoted to ask our questions.
I try to get everyone in as I can, believe me. There's like 6 different questions in the Q&A, and but I tried to get the people with their hands up first that are actually saying things and participating verbally rather than the written questions.
Pulling your leg.
It's a tough job, tough job.
Tough job, I know. I don't want your job, because mine is easier than yours.
I don't think so. I wouldn't want your job. So it's a very tough one. Anyway, perhaps Alberto could go in here, or perhaps you can ask. You can answer quickly a couple of questions. There are 2 questions actually about the salts. About mixing either different salts or what salts would be in the initial 24 segment tray that you showed there. And
the salts reorganize themselves. Does not matter where you start. You got to understand, when you make these boxes with the ganses start producing in it, none of the material is in the matter state. They all behave according, changes according. Where you put a potassium or when you put a calcium, now that creates a salt of potassium, because now it's part of the fields of it, it's not in the matter state anymore. These systems are self-regulatory according to the field plasma condition.
Okay, that makes sense. That's a good, concise answer.
No, this is how it doesn't make sense. This is how it works. Okay. Our body, according to material which entered it, created the salts for it to confirm, to be able to attach themselves, to attach them to itself. Our body continuously dilutes different combination of salts according to the material which arrives in the body. If you look at the intestine is a very salt channel. And according to each section, according to the structure of the intestine, wall of the intestine, the field which creates in the center of it, dictates what salt condition, what material energy will be released. Is it CO2 I'm going to release? CO2 of different strength and everything else. If you look at the intestine is the biggest salt machine in the world, but highly controlled according to the material arrives to it. So if this is the intestine, here when you have materials in different sections, do not forget that intestine itself is made of 3 layers of walls. So what you have is the physicality of, go back to the medical teaching done 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago, where we speak about intestine, when physically was shown that 3 layers, that's how we get it. So these are all in a GANS state. So the environment in this center of the GANS, the center of the, what we call the food going through of intestine, sits in a very, very plasmatic GANS condition, which as the material are coming in the stomach has converted to GANS. Now here, according to the strength of the wall, they become which salt combination is needed in here for them to be able to release their energy. Then it's the body which adjusts itself, but it's the same material all the time, that what is needed. In this place, according to the strength which are created, we need a salt of potassium for to absorb all the potassium, whatever it is. It literally starts with the heaviest, because when it gets the heaviest, easier one comes to the end. And in part, it's totally opposite. The lightest gets absorbed first, and then the heaviest. It's a double function. What you gravitationally, what you magnetically produce. Because the stomach is the same. The intestine is the same. There's gravitational magnetic field. I take what I need from here, the lightest, what I'll give here, the heaviest. At the bottom, I take back the heaviest, and I give in the lightest. That's why in the last section of the body, cesium is absorbed back in. Where cesium is actually absorbed back out into the body this way. This is the process which you understand. The salts of the body are created according to what man has used over time and has become part of his life. So body needs to absorb it because it's the energy it needs, so it creates a salt for it. We don't go and eat salt of magnesium, or we don't go and see the salt of calcium. We eat the natural NaOH, NaCl. And then in our body, according to what it needs, a combination produces the salt which is there. Because what is the salt? Salt is a gravitational system. If you look at all the salts, in essence, they all somehow connect themselves with the oxygen. In most of the cases, they need a hydrogen to become an acid condition, that it means giving energy. And in the other side, they need to become oxidized, which heavier than the hydrogen, then it pulls in the energy. That's all the salt is for. It's 2-level balance, and then it can be disbalanced by hydrogen or oxygen that it releases, at the same time absorbs. If you look at NaCl, look at it. You don't get a combination of Na with H on its own. You get an Na oxidized with the O, C connects to H. Becomes acidic, which is a giver, against a gravitational, which is NaO2. ClH is weaker, but it releases so much more. NaO absorbs more, it's gravitational, it absorbs more energy. And then the body, according to what it comes, according to the fields which is going through, it's the same as how you manifest yourself in the space according to the environment you're in. Then it changes to acidic condition, or the alkaline condition, or the salt condition, what you call it, of potassium. Another. It's the stomach structure of the intestine which dictates the salt. Nothing else. We don't eat it. We absorb it. And the beauty of it is, we absorb most of the sodium we need, or most of the salts, even the calcium we need, through the breathing system in our stomach, in our breathing. But this is part of it, which in the future I'll explain.
Mr. Keshe, maybe before we go, you could answer a question from Danny Moe, who has two different questions in the Q&A and their hand up now. So maybe we could just address that. I can ask the question from the Q&A. I'll bring her into as a panelist. The question is regarding question from the German community forwarded regarding the tritium GANs experiment. A lot of GANs is produced once the CH3 has been added to the CO2 box. Can the GANs be used for health applications? And is it CO2 GANs with CH3 fields? Thanking you. Maybe she can clarify if there's any problems with that.
Any time. This is what we had in the teaching even yesterday in the what do you call it, in the afternoon private teachings. Anytime you use CH3, anytime you use CH3, has to be used in conjunction with CO2 and zinc oxide, because we absorb energy according to the emotion of the need. And it's important for us to understand that. And then you need a what I call connection. In a layman language, you need electrical connection, a wiring to it, which is created by C with the carbon. So anytime, even you concentrate, I was explaining this in the private teaching yesterday. Those of you who try to go and just become GANs drinker, is the most strongest thing you can do. If you go through the process, if you listen to our teachings in the past, you cannot become a vegetarian from tomorrow morning. I'm not going to eat meat tomorrow. As I explained in many of teaching, it's you who's going down the motorway 100 miles an hour, and then it's only you who puts the brake on. The rest are going at 100 miles. What do? They crash on you and they create all sorts of mayhem. Just because you feel I'm not going to be a vegetarian, I'm going to be a vegetarian, no meat eater from tomorrow, you done it. The body is not going to accept it because it's still going down the way. I've been tuned to have meat, energy of the certain strength for my operation. Now I have to adjust everything, not to, and this adjusting causes all mayhem inside you. It's the same with those of you who are going for the GANs as a food replacement. Many people do. I know Chinese have gone very far with this, but you have to understand, you have to satisfy the emotion, the feeling, and you have to make a connection between the energy new energy you bring in, and the new way that emotionally you don't get disturbed. A lot of people who start drinking or becoming a vegetarian or drinking zinc oxide, or what do you call it, CH3, most of the time energy goes, oh, I become a vegetarian, I have to watch. Do you know how much energy you use just to control this thing? Because emotionally, oh, I feel I like meat, oh, I feel guilty because I was eating meat. And it's an emotional play where it's natural. You see a sweet, you just go for a sweet because it's something you enjoy. It has to become that way. It has to, but you have to organize it. It should take months and weeks that you change to even using energy directly as a GANs in the right way. You have to satisfy the right connections. You have to satisfy the emotion. And then gradually you build into it. You don't go from tomorrow morning, that's it, I'm not eating any food, I'm going to eat GANs. One meal every 2-3 days, that is satisfied. I miss a dinner, I don't mind because I took a GANs. I met a Chinese guy who actually, being social on the table, he eats maybe a fruit. But he lives on GANs, and a lot of Chinese have started doing this, a lot of other people, because we don't want to depend on food. You cannot do it, you have to adopt the body to accept. And then secondly, one type of CH3 does not satisfy all the needs or spectrum of the body of the man. Unless you have trained it. There are people who eat only bag of crisps and a Coca-Cola twice, 3 times a day, and they don't touch anything else. No food at all. And they haven't eaten food for years. Once they sit on the table, they're happy with a bag of chips. One of my brother-in-laws is that way. He's in his 40s, 50s. The only thing he has eaten, even when he was going to Oxford University, we met him, only eats bag of crisps every day. The same crisp, day in, day out. The same drink, no other food he touched. There are people who are mono eaters. One of the richest men in the world, he only eats a piece of burnt steak every night in the same restaurant, in the same seat for past 30, 40 years. You have to, then from that, the body has learned that it needs to convert everything to the right things that the body needs. He's one of the top 2, 3 richest men in the world. Read his life story. It doesn't mean that you cannot do, but you have to understand how to do it and progress into it.
Hi, Mr. Keshe. This is Danny.
Yes, Danny.
I have questions here from the German community forwarded. And they were wondering, when doing the tritium GANs experiment, once they have added the CH3 to their CO2 box,
yes,
a lot of GANs is being produced, and they're wondering, is that CO2 GANs or is that CO2 GANs with CH3 fields, and can it be used for health applications?
First of all, I can't answer you the last part, but if you ask me if it's a CO2, depends what you use. Did you use a plastic to contain it inside, or do you use glass? Did you seal the top of the box that there is no transfer? It's a glass, it's a ceramic. At least less transfer of energy. Then the position is, do you produce CH3 depending on the field you produced in the box underneath? And if you have seen the changes in the top box, have you produced, or just you're producing CO2, you're not extracting anything?
Yeah, the answers to that is they have tried the experiment with glass and with plastic, and the box is sealed. So,
yes. So when you do it with a plastic, you create a condition of absorbing the carbon from the plastic and from the CH3. The hydrogen stays in the bottle. The plasma of the tritium stays in the bottle. What is done, it's the CO2 gas you collect. And depends how orange, more orange that orange goes, and it changes. Do you see any black spots at the bottom of the top glass or in your bottle? Those are the carbons which have converted into the nano-atomic carbon when their hydrogen is released as a plasma. You have to observe what you created. It depends a lot on the salinity. It depends a lot on how you connected the wires of your 2 plates, and if you connected it to a LED light to create a balance. You don't connect it to a power. You don't connect the 2 plates together direct. There is a process where I was teaching very recently. You can put a plasma battery, one in the liquid of the CH3, one inside the CH3. And then you create a very slow flow. Then you create a very, very dynamic plasma of the tritium.
yeah, is it the same with glass, with the glass container then?
Yes, because the CH3 can cross. The carbon can cross if you create a field enough. There is no borders for a plasma field. The fields have no boundaries, no barriers.
Okay,
but,
I'll try to.
Let me explain. But you have to make sure you have enough water, oxygen inside the system that you can absorb to convert.
I'll try to forward that answer to the people with the question. They had another one there, just a quick one. They have one CO2 container which is sealed, and it is completely filled with salt solution, and the plates are basically under the water, but it's still producing. So the question was, where is it coming from? Where is the CO2 coming from, the GANs, if not from the air, if the container is sealed?
I don't understand. Can you explain?
Yes, they have a CO2 box which is sealed, and the plates are completely immersed in the water.
Yeah.
And it is still producing a lot of GANs.
That's correct. This is exactly how you're doing in the other box with CH3.
Although it is closed, yes?
Yes, you transfer fields. That's how you're producing CH3. There is no difference between that one and if you just seal it. The reason we seal, I recommend to seal it, is for anything else, for trying to stop the production of amino acid on top of the glass, because it creates a different condition that's H3 is not favorable to be created. The reason for sealing the container is avoiding the production of amino acid, even though you'll see some will be produced. It's a filtering.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I thank the German Keshe Foundation supporters for your work and watching your work very closely. And hopefully we soon go back to opening the Keshe Foundation manufacturing, German manufacturing, now that we understood what went wrong there in a short time. We'll support the German Keshe Foundation heavily in that way. Thank you very much. Shall we call it a day?
I think that's about it. Pia had her hand up here. Maybe she could have something to say to end things here. And yeah, we should wrap it up.
Oh yes, hello.
Hi, Pia.
Hello, everybody. And my name is Pia, and I'm from Denmark. And I just wanted to ask you, when I heard you say about talking about the breathing is absorbing salts in the body, I just got the idea to ask you: how is that connected with the the nano coating process in the body? Is there any way
we
to talk
don't
about
nano coat? We have no nano coating in the body.
Okay.
It's a plasma fields. It's a GAN system. Everything in the body of the man. When you become nano, you become in a matter state. And in the body of the man, the only nanomaterials which we have as part of our body is our nails and our hair.
Okay.
So the skin is not in the nano layer. It's a combination of field interaction.
Okay, I see that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Shall we call it a day, Rick?
Very good, Mr. Keshe. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed. Please support and do not stop going to the press, to the different organizations, to the governments, to the embassies for one nation, one planet. The more it comes out, the more it'll be heard. The process does not matter how it comes from, where it comes. Is our soul in it, it will happen. And secondly, I would like again thank the Dutch group, Richard's team, going to Peru to bring us, to enlighten us about the abuse of the foundation's name and opportunities, people who do not belong to the companies and organizations of the foundation, to benefit themselves, and enlightening us that we could stop this loophole. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. I think I forgot about Alberto there, but maybe he can put his hand up next time around and we'll take care of that.
Thank you very much. Can we go out with the music?
Yes, I think Flint has that lined up, so let's do that ending. And thank you everyone for attending today, the 190th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for September 21st, 2017. And thank you, Flint.